What's going on, guys? Sickbit here, aka Meat, coming at you with another Draft League Presents. Today we got Tapu Koko. Okay. Now, as you can see on the sheet, let's kind of enlarge it a little bit. As you can see on the sheet, that we're using the Battle Company Season 2 Rule Set and Draft Board. Shout out to Slick Panther for doing all the stuff with the Battle Company. He's got a couple other guys, but I know Slick Panther's one of the biggest ones in there. Promoting this kind of thing. So, with that out the way, we're going to go to Tapu Koko and where I think he should be drafted. Now, these guys and the Battle Company think that he is in the 20 points, and I will have to agree. I think it is one of the best Draft League Pokemon. Really widely used in OU all the time. Not as much as Land OT, but I think it is. I don't know if there's ever been a draft that it hasn't been drafted. Yeah, you can't say that about many Pokemon. But this Pokemon in particular, Tapu Koko, he goes top 5, top 10. But I think he's top 4, top 5 Pokemon in draft, and that's because of the versatility. And a lot of with a lot of these top threats, it's because of the versatility. It's not because they can just attack on one side of the spectrum or the other side. It's not because they're super defensive. It's not because it's because they can do so many different things, whether it's utility wise, attacking wise. They're very, very versatile, and I think that really holds true with Koko, and we'll get into that more. But to clarify, top 5 Pokemon could be. I don't think it's top 3. I think it's 4 or 5. So that's just my opinion, but let's get into why I think that. So, Koko, electric fairy typing, really, really unique. Well, unique in, maybe it's not too unique, because there's Dedenne and Alolan Raichu, but those are really not as good Pokemon, mainly because they can't set, electric terrain, which is the ability Electric Surge, which is a really great ability, pairs well with like a Hawlucha, and then any other electric type attacking Pokemon, because it boosts electric moves by 1.3 when you're in Electric Surge. Now there is items that can extend that Electric Surge even to 8 turns with Terrain Extender, but a lot of the times it's just going to be you want Koko to hold a different item. But let's talk about the typing here. Electric Fairy. So immune to Dragon. Okay, so that's the only immunity, but it's almost a necessity to have a really strong Fairy type in draft nowadays because it's such a great typing defensively and offensively. I think it is one of the best typings with Steel. So that's just my opinion, but I think it's really, really strong. Yes. Resistances. So the electric typing only adds Crowned as a weakness to the fairy typing. So that's really interesting. That you're only adding one weakness to an already really, really strong typing. And with that electric weakness, or with that one weakness that they're adding, they're also taking away another weakness that the fairies would have, which is Steel. So you're neutral to Steel, you're weak to only Ground and Poison, and then you resist Bug, Dark, Electric, Fighting, and Flying. So you resist Flying and Electric because of the Electric typing, and then Fairy resists Fighting, Dark, and Bug, respectively. So very, very good typing, very strong Pokemon. We've already talked about how strong the ability is, and it has a lot of uses that I will get into later. But for right now, it's a very, very strong typing. Right now, it just boosts electric type moves 1.3, which it was nerfed. It needed it because it used to be 1.5 in Generation 7, but now it's 1.3 for all the different terrains. So moving on, we have the HP 70, which is not great. A little bit below a Genie. 115 that's okay, not wall breakery, but right on the cusp of wall breakery. In my opinion, defense is pretty good. 85 defense is pretty good. Special attacks okay at 95. Definitely not a wall breaker, but super effective attacks on some weaker Pokemon will definitely kill it. and then 75 special defense is okay. Very, very close, right below a genie again. And then the blistering speed of 130, getting you up to, I think it's 394 is what it says here, 394, which is really, really fast. It's really, really strong, and it's one of those top tier speed mons in draft that forces the opponent to run choice scarfs and different things like that, so that they can outspeed this, so that they're not destroyed late game. You know, once everything is chipped down, Koko could just come in and just sweep if nothing's running a choice scarf. Because I mean, while 95 and 115 aren't crazy, they're still strong enough to, you know, take a 60%, 70% off a Pokemon. So yeah, very, very strong, very, very good. Could sweep, but we will get into why it can do more than just sweep with that 130 speed. So the sets that are pretty good here, we have a Choice Specs, which I would say that this is not as used, or not as widely used as some might think. A lot of the times, Koko is a utility mon, in my opinion. I don't think it's attacking crazy amounts. It's a very, very good offensive pivot, but I don't think Choice Specs is necessarily the one to do it, unless your opponent doesn't have a ground type. Then go crazy, you know. A Choice Specs Volt Switch is probably free as hell. So yeah, Choice Specs here with Thunderbolt, Dazzling Gleam, Volt Switch, Roost, or Hidden Power Ice Switch. Why would you have Roost on a Choice Specs set? That doesn't make too much sense to me, but I think that anytime you're going to run Choice Specs, I would rather run Discharge for that 30% paralysis. That's just my opinion. It's 10 less base power, but I guess maybe you do need to hit a little bit stronger. But I would run Discharge in my opinion. Dazzling Gleam is really strong. It doesn't get Moonblast, so it's missing out on that 10 base power difference, or 15 base power difference, because Moonblast is 95. But it's still pretty good. Still pretty good. Volt Switch, if you've already taken out the ground type on your opponent's team, Choice Specs Volt Switch is really, really strong. You're going to take 50, 60% off of another Pokemon, and then you'll be able to switch out as well. And especially if it's a water type, there's no way it's going to stay in on a Volt Switch Choice Specs, because it will die. So maybe, I mean, you force him to sack or take damage on another Pokemon that'll be easier to sweep later. So that could definitely be interesting. And then Hidden Power Ice, if your league allows it, it's really strong for you know, chipping away at ground types on the switch in that think that you're going to run Volt Switch. You know, so instead of Volt Switching HP Ice, you chip down that. Sorry, let me get, yeah, there you go. You chip down that ground type, and eventually you'll be able to kill it on a switch, and then you'll be able to Volt Switch. So I think that's really good, and then this is maximum speed, maximum special attack, because all of these are special attacks. So that's really good. It's a really good pivot. With this one, it's like a late game or an early game sweeper, because it tries to wall break with the specs. But we'll move on to the next set. So Z Offensive, if your league allows Z Offensive or Z's, then Electrium Z is really strong. This is a physical set, so using that 115 base attack, which is a little bit stronger than your special attack. Z Wild Charge really, really hits hard. It gets up to, I think, 175 base power with the Z move, so that's pretty strong. HP Ice is there, again, for those ground types, because you don't have another way to beat them other than like an HP Ice or something like that. U-Turn for good momentum. Roost to heal off any like scalds or something, you know, something little damage, so that you can come in back on that same thing, like maybe like a Pex or Milotic, whatever it is that you're switching in to force out offensively. And then Taunt's really good for, you know, stopping recover spam or spikes or stealth rocks, different things like that, like calling the opponent's bluff when they think that you're going to switch out, so they don't use a ground move. They use like stealth rocks or spikes, for instance. So that could be an interesting set, and it's definitely good for one huge what's it called? Excuse me, huge hit with Z Wild Charge. And then it says that this is ace. You minus the defense here, and then you boost your speed here to get you up to 394. So that's interesting that you don't do special attack because you're using HP Ice, I guess. So that's interesting. And I think this is one of the most common sets here, is a Shukaberry. With Thunderbolt, again, I'd use Discharge in my opinion, HP Ice, U-Turn, Volt Switch, and then Roost. I think this is a really good set because it allows you to take one ground type move a lot of the time, and then fire up an HP Ice, and if you're able to 2-hit KO that ground type, you're able to 2-hit KO that ground type, and then you can start Volt Switching again. You know, Volt Switching on that electric terrain boosted Volt Switch, very, very strong. Roost for a little damage, you know, and then also you can switch in on a ground type one time, and they're not gonna think, okay, he's gonna switch in his Koko because he knows that if I click Earthquake that it'll die. So there's no way he's gonna do that. You switch it in, you resist a hit, you HP Ice, take the hit, take another hit with the Sugar Berry, and then kill it. So it could be pretty interesting for an outplay. Because they're not expecting you to do so. So I think that this set is a really good set. I know I've definitely used this. It's a really strong. It's another way that it can use its stats that are not crazy, or that are kind of mediocre to definitely just take them off the board that would otherwise have checked it. So it's able to beat a lot of its checks because of the different utility that it has, the different ways that its stats are kind of spread out. So I think that's really, really interesting. It makes it a really, really strong, Pokemon. So let's get into the moves here. Those were some common sets, 3 of them. I also want to go over actually one more set, and that is a Light Clay, max speed, max HP, screen setter. So you can do this one of 2 ways. You can do the Focus Sash, the Focus Sash, max special attack or max attack, screen setter. But your screens won't last as long, so that's also interesting. But Koko's really good for setting up a light screen, setting up a reflect, and then U-turning, because a lot of the times they won't expect you to lead Koko necessarily. Koko's a decent lead, but let's say they don't expect you to lead Koko, they expect you to lead your Stealth Rocker or something like that. You're able to set up your first screen that you know what's going to come in on you, set up your second screen, and then take the hit because of the reflect or light screen that you set up. You turn out, get momentum, and then bring something hard in, maybe a weakness policy user, or maybe something they can set up a Swords Dance, a Rock Polish, a Totemize behind those screens. Use them, take that hit, and then go ahead and set up, and then deal a lot of damage, wall break at that point. So I think that could be really interesting and a really huge utility set that can really sweep teams and gain you a lot of differential because of those screens. You're going to survive a lot of hits, and you're going to take a couple mons while they're up, because when you're calcing, you're not thinking, okay, I got to make sure reflect, light screen's up. Okay, now I can attack. You're not thinking that when you're team building. You're thinking, okay, there's no way he's gonna have light screen. There's no way he's gonna have reflect. I don't have to worry about that stuff. Let me just see the damage that I need on that Pokemon. And so that can really throw off your opponent's calcs a lot. So let's get into these moves here. Excuse me. So weakness policy, acrobatics. I talk about it all the time, every single time. Very, very strong. You don't get stabbed with your flying type moves, but that's okay. Aerial Ace is pretty good. Agility, you're not going to be using too much. Let's say you're running that weakness policy set and you need agility. Sure, that's fine. Just making sure that you outspeed everything. A lot of the time you're going to outspeed everything anyway. Brave Bird's a great stab. A great move and a very, very strong move. You do take 33% recoil, so that means 33% of the health that you take from your opponent you will receive in damage. Calm Mind is pretty good. Not really going to use Charge too much, but I can see its merit. +1 special defense and boost your electric type moves 2 times the power if it's the next one. That's actually an interesting move, and I've never seen anybody use it, but that seems like a really good heat set. A Dazzle Gleam, of course, is good. It gets defog, so it could be an offensive switch in defog, like a Tornadus Therian or something like that. It could force some switches and then defog hazards away. Very, very good. Discharge is the one that I use over Thunderbolt a lot of the time because of the 30% paralysis. It feels like Skull. That's how many paralysis you get. Paralysi, whatever. Electric Drain, you're not using that. Electric Ball is okay. Electro Web has merit, lowering the speed, as long as it's not a ground type, so it's not immune. You can lower the speed 100% of the time. Facade's okay. Fly, I've seen Z Fly before. Actually, I've only seen Z Brave Bird. I'm lying. So I have not seen Z Fly. But yeah, don't use that. Let's see. Grass Knot's really good for Hippowdon or, those kind of guys, the ground types, pure ground types, pure water types, not really water types. But Grass Knot's pretty good for the grounds. Again, Iron Defense is okay. Iron Head is okay. It's got to be something really weak defensively, and then I could see it. Mirror Move is okay. Use the last target's last move against it. So let's say that you're trying to set up some Stealth Rocks. You have your Koko in first. Let's say it's a Focus Sash or something like that. The opponent puts up a Stealth Rocks. You just Mirror Move it away, or you Mirror Move it back because it doesn't get Mirror Coat. If it got Mirror Coat, then it would be able to bounce it back. But you're not able to do that, so Mirror Move is the best thing you got. Also, I missed Light Screen. Light Screen is really important. Nature's Madness is a great move. I'm pretty sure only the Tapus get that, which halves the opponent's HP every single time, no matter what. So let's say you're half health, you're going to go down to 25% health. If you're 100% health, 50%, so on and so forth. And this is why it's important. Not only is this important to have an odd HP number, but also for Stealth Rocks, you need an odd HP number. So just keep that in mind. Let's see here. Psych Up could be interesting. Quick Attack's okay. Reflect is great. Roar. Roost is fantastic. Safeguard's pretty good. You get Screech. So let's say you need to wall break through a team, like it's a stall team. You just start screeching things as they come in and start just brave birding and wild charging. And then you probably need Roost on that set because of all the recoil. But yeah, Sky Attack's pretty good. If you're going to use a Z move, Z Sky Attack is really, really strong. Let's see how strong this is. 200 base power. Whew. Steel Wing, you're always going to use Iron Head in my opinion. Taunt is great. Thief is okay. Thunder if you need the extra damage, and if you're on a rain team. Thunder Punch if you don't want the damage from Wild Charge, then you could use Thunder Punch for sure. Thunder Wave's pretty good. U-Turn's great. Volt Switch, Wild Charge here. I don't think you're going to use Withdraw. You're always going to use Iron Defense in my opinion, and Work Up's pretty okay. So a lot of really good moves, right? So you can see that this Pokemon can go utility some weeks. It can go, weakness policy. It has a little bit of defenses that it can take one hit, and then maybe set up an agility and then weakness policy or something like that. So it has a couple of different things that it can do. Shuka Berry, is very, very good. The Light Clay with the Light Screen, Reflect, and U-Turn, Roost. Those are really good moves. Taunt. So a very, very fast Taunter is very good. But let's get into more of what Koko could do, what the Gen 8 side of it, okay? So let's go to this DLC leaked move list, and we have Rest, Swift Assurance, Eerie Impulse. Okay, so that's an interesting one. Of course, Endure with Lychee, Close Combat. It gets Close Combat now. Store Power, and it gets Play Rough. Holy smokes! Okay, Play Rough, Close Combat, Eerie Impulse, and there is a rumor. Now hold on to your seats here. There is a rumor that Koko gets Rising Voltage. Rising Voltage. Okay, so if you don't know what Rising Voltage means, it means Rising Voltage is anytime that you're in electric terrain and you use Rising Voltage, the base power is doubled. So it's 170 base power attack. It's pretty much a Z move, but that's spammable. It's multiple Z moves. Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't show it on here, but that's the rumor, is that this guy gets, and there's no reason that he shouldn't get rising voltage. No reason. He probably will get rising voltage, and I think it's going to be crazy if that's ever allowed in Gen 8 leagues right now. That Koko's banned. He's absolutely busted. There's no way that anybody's allowing rising voltage or expanding force from Lele. Those moves are just crazy, just absolutely insane. And sometimes even grassy glide on Tapu Koko. So those are just things to think about. I do think that this is a top 5 Pokemon, and I want to kind of go over a couple of pairs that I think go really, really well with it. Now, of course, I don't want rising voltage to overshadow the fact that Koko also gets play rough. That's very, very important. But let's get into some pairings. So Koko's really good with like a Levitator, right? A Levitator or a a flying Pokemon. If you really wanted to finish your offensive core, Torn-T is pretty good. In this league, is he banned? Is Torn-T banned? Am I missing it? There, is he just lower here? Where's Torn-T? Oh, there he is. Okay, I'm blind. Okay, so you're probably not going to get Torn-T in this league. But something flying, something, maybe a Corviknight. Corviknight's pretty good with this. Obviously, you probably won't get Selly. Maybe Dragonite. Dragonite's pretty good. Something that's Hydreigon's great. Something that is flying and that is not weak to ground and poison, right? Which a lot of the times is going to be, your steel flyings. So Skarmory's great because he is immune to both of these weaknesses. Selly, of course. Corviknight, yeah, of course. Steel flying, those are perfect matches to have. And the resistance to electric and the neutrality of fire is okay. So those steel flyings are really good. Just another steel or dragon, preferably if they were levitating or flying, are really good Pokemon. I think a water type, a bulky water, is pretty good with this guy. You can see that Koko is gonna, resist that electric typing and be neutral to grass. So I think very, very strong Pokemon, very, very strong. I think I've given a couple of pairings. If there's any other questions you need, just ask in the comments, and I will definitely check that out and answer you. I left a couple of links in there if you wanted to go look at those, check them out. Make sure to subscribe and like the video. And that's Sickbid, aka Meek, coming at you with another Draft League Presents.